I want to start off with a question. What is the most marketable brand in Britain? Take a wild guess. It's not James Bond. It's not Sherlock Holmes. It's not even the Premier League. The most marketable brand in Britain today is the British royal family. The Windsor family is the UK's most popular brand in good times as well as in bad times, be it weddings, births, scandals. The world is constantly watching the Queen and her family. Currently, Britain has turned into a royal theme park, all decked up for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations. She is celebrating the 70th anniversary of her coronation, the longest reigning monarch in Britain's history. But as Britain celebrates this occasion, the biggest question is this: is the monarchy even needed in our time, and is it time to abolish it? After the Second World War, Europe's monarchies started retreating. Surviving kings and queens were regarded as relics. Many remained only in their palaces, others enjoyed a quiet life. But not the British monarchy. No other royal family took Britain's route to becoming A-list celebrities, a brand in themselves that can be repackaged and sold to the public. Sure, a majority of Britons are in favor of the monarchy. They call her Britain's rock in times of turmoil, something that ties the entire country together. And this legitimizes what the royal brand stands for: continuity, nostalgia, and more importantly, the absence of change. You see, the head of the state is a position given to a royal as a birthright. In Britain, the monarch is born superior. The rest of the people are the monarch's subjects. She has the power to form governments and the power to dissolve governments, even in Australia. These are all powers every monarch inherits at birth. But why? Why is the royal family still superior to the rest of the country just by virtue of birth? This is a bizarre privilege in the 21st century, given the amount of scandals that they are involved in. The Queen's son, Prince Andrew, remember, was accused in a sex scandal. On the other hand, Meghan Markle accused the family of racism. The Queen herself has been accused of changing laws to hide her wealth. This is a family that calls itself a true ambassador of Britain, but the scandals that they are involved in are never ending. The other important issue is the monarchy is expensive. There are yearly costs of security, travel, even pensions. Compared to that, the royal family's revenues are not quite as bountiful as they seem. The royal family cost taxpayers in the UK $86 million in 2019. That's quite a price tag for figureheads in a country that is reeling from the pandemic. That's not all. The other issue of contention is the Commonwealth. The empire that the Queen was born into is long gone, but she still reigns far beyond Britain's shores. The Queen is the sovereign of 14 countries in the Commonwealth of Nations. So as Britain marks the Platinum Jubilee, some in the Commonwealth are using the occasion differently. They are pushing for a formal break with the monarchy, dissociating itself with the colonial history that it represents. In Australia, the country has appointed a new minister. The job is to ensure that Australia becomes a republic soon. So on her Platinum Jubilee weekend, Australia is planning to oust the Queen, an indication of how many see the monarch as an anchor to an imperial past. So the monarchy is English society's most exquisite display of romanticism. It represents the grandeur of the past. It holds the promise of the future. But this is an expensive dream to uphold, to say the least. It traps Britain in a past it may no longer connect with. So as the Queen turns 96 years old, is it time for change? Is it time to abolish the monarchy? And for more on this, Scott Lucas with me from London. He is a professor of international politics at the University of Birmingham. Thanks very much, Scott, for being here with us. Now, this is not the first time and not the last time that this question is being raised. Should the monarchy be celebrated or should it be abolished? Where do you stand on this?
Well, let me speak as a person first and then as an analyst. As a UK citizen, as an activist, I am a Republican. I don't believe, for some of the reasons you set out, that we need a monarchy, but at the very least, the British, some would even say the English monarchy is outdated. It should be reformed to be a 21st century monarchy with professional expertise, such as we might see in countries like the Netherlands or in Sweden. But as an analyst, I think there's two reasons why that's not going to happen in the near term. I think the first is beyond a lot of affection for the Queen within the United Kingdom, and there is a lot of affection for the Queen as opposed to other members of the royal family. I think you have a curious time right now in England, and you notice I'm not saying the United Kingdom, I'm not saying Scotland or Northern Ireland, but in England, there's almost a retreat into itself. As the country has cut itself off from Europe with Brexit, as its place in the world is uncertain, there is this attempt to grab the imperial past and to say, oh, we are great then, we are still great now. And the monarchy, for all its flawed individuals like Prince Andrew, is part of that. And then the second reason, I think, is actually a more defensible reason for the monarchy, which is the UK government is so dysfunctional right now. The Prime Minister is so dysfunctional right now. Some people look at the monarchy and say, well, if you don't have the monarchy, would we really want to have a President Boris Johnson? Or Britain's version of President Donald Trump? Would we really want to get rid of the House of Lords when the House of Lords, even though I'm opposed to it in principle, has been a check on some of the excesses of what has been the government's abusive rule in recent years?
How do you view Australia's move to now have an assistant minister for the Republic?
Well, I think there's a big distinction to be made between the discussion we're having right now about probably most people in the UK will still support maintaining the monarchy and what is happening outside of the United Kingdom in the Commonwealth or former Commonwealth. In Australia, this debate about getting rid of the monarch has gone on for decades. There have been moves for referendum for a republic as long as I can remember. Whether they succeed this time, it's still a very divided country. A lot of people still favor retaining that tie with the Queen as head of state. And you have a similar situation in Canada as well. I think the interesting recent case has been Jamaica. When you had a tour of the island by royals, by Prince William and his wife, Kate, and it was to be a celebration of the monarchy, and they met these protests that said, look, we want a truly independent Jamaica, and that means no more ties with the Queen as head of state. Something which caught the British leadership here by surprise, that, you know, some countries might think it's time to get beyond tipping their hat to the Queen or having her on the faces of their coins.
As a celebration or a day of protest or both?
Oh, it's a celebration here. I mean, with respect, I am going to keep a lot of my TV turned off for the next 4 days because we have a holiday all the way through Sunday celebrations. Because I just don't want to hear the news about the Jubilee again and again and again. But I think most people are going to be at least enjoying the time off, and there are no protests. I mean, you may have a few people on social media that will, you know, express their opinions about it, but there are not people on the streets of London or Birmingham where I am, or even Glasgow or Belfast who are saying off with their head. No, most people actually have a deep affection for the Queen, who has been, of course, part of all of their lives. You know, only the very, very elderly in the United Kingdom can remember a time when she was not on the throne.
Scott, thanks very much for being here on the broadcast with us and sharing those perspectives.
Thank you.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.